Hi and welcome to another of my videos. On this one I'm just gonna have a look what's the story of the receptionist job or the reception manager jobs on river cruise ships in EU. Right, so before you begin about the video, what's the content shortly about me and why in EU? Okay, so I'm just gonna try to cover everything there is, the benefits, of course, your prior experience, your duties, and something to description of what there is all about and what's pretty much to know. Why in EU? I did cover it in other videos as well. Basically, yeah, in EU, basically it's Rhine or Donau. Of course, there's a river in Portugal. Of course, there's two rivers in France as well, where the ships sail. But basically, most of them, the employees come from EU or they have visa. Of course, I had a colleague from Russia with a visa. There were other colleagues from different countries outside the EU, and of course, there were colleagues from Asia as well. But mainly they focus on EU. However, that's not exceptional, and but these are the rivers there is. About me and my experience, so I actually did work for 2.5 or 3 years actually on river cruise ships. I did the night audit, I did the reception, I did the bar, and I actually ended up working as a cruise director as well. So I'm trying to cover everything there is, whatever I know from different cruise ships, different companies I worked for, and of course my experience, and of course what I ever found out from my colleagues while doing different jobs as well. So I decided actually to cover it all together, receptionist and reception manager, because actually these duties overlap, and it's only basically from the thing there is the reception manager does few extra things. However, it could happen when you're on a ship, your reception manager is on a holiday, you're going to have somebody to cover the holiday, maybe it's even the only receptionist, so basically you're going to do the reception manager duties, which is not that scary, to be honest. Everybody can do it, and honestly you just need to be confident in yourself, because it's not that bad. Even one of my super reception managers said, yeah, well, really, that's not so scary, unless even if you do get a little bit more, not much. Even these duties, they are not like really scary. The prior experience, of course, they love people from the ships, they love from big ships, they love from river cruise ships if you have prior experience, so basically they think you're gonna know everything straight away, which is actually pretty true. However, you can learn the whole thing like in 2 months, well, in a month, I guess. Prior experience, of course, for receptionist, night auditor, or receptionist on land usually, and the reception manager, yes, they do love promote the people within inside, but I have actually met their supervisors who was a manager on land, and she ended up straight away a manager position on a ship. Foreign languages in EU, most common one that I really want you to know is German, because there's lots of German guests. There's 3 German-speaking countries in EU, as you know, and this is the most common spoken language in the EU itself. And lots of these rivers, like Rhine or Donau, they go through the German-speaking lands, like Austria, Switzerland, or Germany, of course. Of course, you can have another language as well. Some of my managers didn't even speak German. You can speak Spanish, you can speak another major language, because lots of the ships have different groups, like English, Spanish, or German as well, or even Russian. It can be pretty much everything mixture. PMS knowledge. Any PMS is going to do. Property management system. Fidelio Cruise is actually quite different than the one Fidelio on land. The one in English-speaking countries is slightly different than the one in German-speaking language on a land, and Fidelio Cruise is slightly different as well, but you can get around with it, and it's not that scary. You don't use it that much as on big ships, so you can get around with it. Rescov was another one I actually used. I heard there's at least 1 or 2 more, but the Rescov was so easy to go with. Of course, somebody needed to show me at first, and of course showed me once, twice, and I could do it myself later on. So it's not that scary. Where would you look for a job? So yeah, this YouTube channel comes with the site for crew.com. Actually, I kind of carried them going in the same way, like complement each other. And there's a chapter of jobs on a river cruise ship. So there's job search agent, there's employment companies, there's agencies, and what's particular with the river cruises is sometimes there will be a company that have like 50 ships. The captains are there, the ships belong to the company, but everybody who works in hospitality, reception, food industry, kitchen, housekeeping, they would be from different companies, so they would actually manage the situation. And some of them are really simple because the website has like an email address. Some of the agencies straightforward. You just write to them, send them an email, and you're going to be actually on a list already to go for that. So Life Crew is built for that. There's a list, there are the job fairs, there are the jobs on cruise ships, and then jobs on yachts. Visa requirements. Okay, so EU, yeah, they love the people from EU, wherever you come from. It's easier for them to employ. There's no visa requirements or anything like that. However, as I mentioned, you might need some, and there's like, Viking has like ship with for the Chinese guests, and all the employees, as I saw the ship itself, they were all Asian itself. They still employ people from Asia. There's no problem. They're hardworking people, very nice to get along with it. Mostly, of course. Even me, I'm not that simple sometimes. But even the person from Russia was there, the person from Egypt I was working with, and of course from Asia as well. When to apply? Okay, the season starts in the spring. They do have a Christmas and New Year's cruises. They cruises slightly a bit, like Christmas markets and all this. But this is the winter when you need to start applying, like November, December. Of course, before Christmas, and then on the beginning in January they have all these CVs, whatever there is. They got the people working on winter cruise, and basically that's where they start the process. So for the spring you get in there. Length of the contract is always the same pretty much in Europe. The cruising starts in the spring and it goes all the way down till October, November, and basically just the winter months you are back at home 2-3 months. Okay, so it's like 9 months really. And these are both the same for managers and reception. Interview process, and after the interview, as I mentioned, the interview itself, you're gonna have them in January, maybe at the end of the year already. After the interview, they're gonna give you your contract. Pretty much, you need to do the medical. Medical is straightforward. It's nothing as scary as on big ships. So it's basically your family doctor who actually signs everything. Basic things. So if you don't have any known sicknesses already in your past, like really big ones. One did actually went for a full blood test for me. The other tests, Röntgen, that was only one company. All the other ones are really relaxed, so it's not as scary as the one on the big ships. Okay, after an interview you need to get the flight tickets. So the first tickets you usually buy yourself, but they're going to be paid back at the end of the contract. Like, they want you to stay till the end, they're going to give you the money back. You just submit receipts. Even if you take the train, they're still going to give it back to you, but they don't really like to give the taxi receipts back. Uniforms, yeah, well, they're going to issue you the uniforms and everything. Usually you need black trousers, okay, black shoes and white shirts, and the same for the ladies as well, skirts or trousers and white shirts. Of course, you're gonna get them on a ship when you arrive. Benefits, okay, I didn't really separate these as well because they're very, very common. The salary itself, you probably want to know, the receptionists usually get like 900 to 1450 was the biggest I got. Yeah, there's a big difference between the companies and all this. There could be a bonus for German speakers, and there could be a bonus, not a bonus, but they actually pay for your courses back at home. If you take them and give them receipts for the next contract, they're just gonna pay you back for the course itself, which is pretty cool. I guess I got like 250 extra for a month, and my manager didn't speak German, but she was perfect, like in Spanish and Portuguese, which are most common speaking languages as well in the world itself. So the managers gets 1,400 or 1,700 really. So 1,700 was the biggest I was ever actually offered. Usually like 1,500, and I think it's actually, but I remember still 1,300 something as well, which is not really a lot, to be honest. And I have to tell you, this is what it is, and it's not comparable to the big ships where you get 2,000 minimum for the receptionist job, and it's not comparable if you're German speaker. If you go in Switzerland, which I did now last year, my salary was after the apartment paid for the season job, which comes with the apartment, and after insurance, health insurance, and accidental insurance as well. And I really was earning like Swiss francs 2,200 or 2,400. So, well, that's why probably you don't get too many German speakers, Germans itself, or Austrians or Swiss people working there. But this is also what it is, and the industry, these are the standards. I hope it's going to improve. Of course, I heard there's other companies, your luxury ones, they pay way much more. Of course, you don't need to name them. There's Crystal Cruises, there are Viking as well, I heard pretty good as well, and they have this rotation, like you have 4 weeks on, 2 weeks back at home, which is interesting. But it's not all the companies are not adopting that. Tips, they come in a big jar at the end of the cruise. Some can be actually prepaid. I wasn't with the prepaid ones, which is really good. Every 2 weeks, there's 2 weeks cruises, we were getting €400, not less, not more, which was really good. But that's not usually the case. At the week cruises, there are envelopes given up to the guests. They can put whatever amount there is. There's suggested amount, of course, but it's not always there. Some give so much and some give not that much, or really little, to be honest. So, but that's like every weekly extra cash money you can use and try to save your salary. Really, it's about €70, to be honest. Of course, the waiters get some extra, and bartenders get some extra, housekeeping gets some in the room. Then you get the envelopes as well, which is divided between everyone, captain, hotel director, and everybody else, equal parts. More tips, yeah, well, at the end of the cruise, sometimes the people pay the bills, and the bill is like 95. They will give you 100 and say, okay, this is for you guys, or this is for the tips, and put it in the tip jar. And sometimes it stays with the reception, so that's another extra like 30-40 euro maybe. But usually that's, yeah, they leave it to you, to the reception, or they leave it to the tip jar, which you need to put in. Yeah, so these are the salaries, and okay, the rank itself. Usually receptionist is 1-stripe officer, and the reception managers get 1.5 or actually 2-stripe officer. Only benefit really what you get from that, you can actually go to the bar and actually have a drink or two, and you are actually allowed to do it. There's no really other things there is. As I was 3-stripe officer, I could actually do the bar, I could do the restaurant if I'm invited by the guest, and I could actually go in a coffee room and get my coffee as well. But that's like 3-stripe officer, and unfortunately none of the receptionists really go that up of none of the titles get so much stripes. Other benefits, holidays, usually that's 2 weeks a year. There's a new system there, 3 weeks on, two back on the ship. The salaries are higher. Four on the ship and 2 back at home. So this is like a system that Viking has always been doing. Some of the companies introducing it, some never will. Some may change back, you never know, but it's usually 2 weeks. For the cruise director, there's 2 times 2 a week. To a contract, sorry. There was two weeks holiday. You need to pre-book it a few months before. Health insurance is always included, so when you go to the doctor, they're gonna give you a slip. You need to go that to the usually some hospitals that we know about, and there's information at the reception, so you go there, they'll check you up and you get a refund on whatever you paid there. Not all of it. There's even allowance for the glasses, for reading glasses, but one of my colleagues colleagues was actually at the hospital, and she had a really bad medical issue, tooth issue with, and I think that cost like €600, which was horrible, sort of an operation. She was not supposed to work for 2-3 days at least, and I think she only got back 350 or 400, so not the full amount, so not everything. Still, you're a reception manager, or you are a receptionist, you still share a cabin. The reception manager is responsible for cabin assignment, so if somebody comes on a holiday, somebody comes back, or somebody wants to move, so you share the cabin. So allocation for the cabins, that's usually a reception manager does that for the crew. And of course, guest movements and whatever there is. Could happen that what happened with my friend, he was a receptionist, and the reception manager was actually a girlfriend of somebody else, so they had a cabin share, who was actually a captain, who had his own cabin. So basically for the reception cabin, which was actually 2 cabins, one was for the night receptionist, one was for the dayman receptionist, so they had a free space really. So he had his own cabin. Okay, this is some sort of a privilege, and this is what he got. Uniforms itself, so you get the uniforms, you can pre-order them, you can order the new ones, the guys clean them, the laundry cleans the private ones as well. Some you need to wash them as well and dry them in the dryer. Of course you don't pay them, but in some ships the laundry master does the shirts, and once a month they probably do the laundry as well, so they wash and put it back in the bag. So in uniforms included. Of course you have 3 meals a day, and there's some cold cuts in the fridge, so you kind of always pretty much have food. That's not so bad itself, because you don't have any cooking opportunities. Days off, that's a questionable one. It's easy. It can really easy work, like in the ships they have a spa, like hairdresser does like few hours on a desk, or there is a sports instructor or a biker, like he goes on a bike rides, so they have like covered like couple hours as well, so you can kind of have a day off like once a month or maybe every 2 weeks, which is you can manage it. But usually sometimes when there's no spa and there's no extra stuff, then that's pretty much impossible. There's only 3 of you on reception. There's a night auditor that has night hours, and the day hours you always share yourself. So basically that's what it is about the job really. So you work 8 to 9 hours and you can sit down. It's not like a big ship, you need to stand up the whole thing if you're not doing some office work like or phone central. The shifts itself I'm not too sure anymore. But it's basically the early and the late shift. Like the early one you do like 5 hours in the morning, then you do in the evening like 3 hours, and the same one is like you start at lunchtime, do other shift, and then you work to like 5 or 6 hours, and then you come for another 2-3 hours in the evening, I'm not too sure about these numbers, and I think 10 p.m. should be 11 p.m. but basically 2 of you covered the daytime, and sometime because of the agreement you can switch them, or maybe 1 week you do the early and 1 week you do the late one between the managers. So basically the duties are pretty much the same, because you're at reception and you are there for the guests. So reception is reception. Housekeeping requests, if the son needs something in your room, maintenance issues, you need to write them down in a book. Guest concerns, if they have an issue you can try that out. Port information, they always come to you. Should be for the cruise director actually, because everything else, port information, is mainly cruise director duty. Management of the gift shop, the gift shops are always there, they earn some extra money on it. As I mentioned, there could be a hairdresser, or there could be somebody actually looking after the gift shop, so it's and it's only open for a few hours, but sometimes you step in and you help out the gift shop, or basically mainly it actually is a reception. So all kinds of small things, the local ceramic things, or keychains, or whatever the small thing, Loading is kind of a side duty every 2 weeks or every week maybe. This is when the food comes on board, and it lasts for a week or 2 weeks. 2 weeks ones are pretty long ones. So you stock up the fridge for the 2 weeks, so it can last like 3 hours, Maybe it's 2 hours or 1.5 if you do it weekly, but it's usually on your free time, and it's an official like sort of duty, so you can't actually get out of it. There's no way. There's no way. The only thing that did happen, that was musicians. She was pianist, and the same gentleman played piano as well. As he said, well, with the hands and all this, if I do get them damaged, there's no piano music, I'm not gonna do it. And then kind of with the agreement, he or she was getting only half of the tips, or maybe non-tips, because they were not helping us out, but I think it was half tips. And if somebody has a damage back or something like that, maybe you can get away for 1 or 2 loadings, but usually you need to do it. And one of the receptionists is always at the desk, and the other is doing it, so next week you're going to be doing it yourself. Additional manager duties. Well, basically, yeah, I did put them together, because it's actually the same job, really. Like, duties are duties. Extra ones are orders, like you do the orders for housekeeping, for the kitchen, maybe for uniforms. Small things like this. Clearance. Clearance doesn't really happen that much, to be honest. So Ryan is basically Netherlands, and the Belgium, yeah, you can get there through the channels. This is in Germany, so I never actually experienced the clearance there when I was working. The thing that happens is, if you go in the capital, like Vienna in Austria, so if you come from Germany, they're going to check the papers. Well, basically you do the reports, like, from the system, from the Fidelia. They basically look at it. All the German guests and the passport numbers are there. It's like, okay, there's no problem. They can come to the Austria anytime. Only thing there is this moment, if I'm not mistaken, Serbia wasn't in EU, in Donau. That's when you need to actually have all the reports ready, all the passports ready, and then you need to get them to the Customs and Border Protection officers. You need to present them. They can come on board, check the passports if they want to. That's what it is, but it doesn't really happen that often. Like, a ship goes through the Bulgaria or Romania, there is no clearance. Never really had any stops there. The police can come do the inspection on a ship, like in Germany or Austria. Does happen, but the reception is usually not included. Maybe a report for the captain, so he's going to speak to them. Officers welcome. This is like an official thing that usually senior officers there. They go up on a stage, hotel director speaks and is like, hello, like, she's doing this, he's doing that. That's a small thing. It does take like half an hour, but that's what it is. Writing warnings, I did put it inside. There's official things happened, and people get warnings, and none of the heads of the departments or hotel director wants to write it. So it's usually hotel director or receptionist or the reception manager mostly, because it shouldn't be known to everyone. It's just except the person, and the person who thinks the warning should be given that's head of the department. So not a pleasant task, but that's what it is. Meetings, yeah, well, you have these weekly meetings, and you think what happens on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, weekly cruises. When is happening what? When there is like special things happening on a cruise, and when is what going on. So this is just a meeting ahead of the department. End of the voyage accounting is basically closing the voyage, counting the money, getting reports out, putting the people in a new systems from the spreadsheet. You can just upload them, whichever depends there, whichever system you use, and you just count the money and divide the tips and do all these small things and everything. But honestly, receptionists can do that, and I have done most of it as well. So basically, I wasn't a reception manager, but I basically got the grip of it. This basically actually covers the most of the things. I think the basics to the most. And certifiedcrew.com is there, so you have all these chapters with cruise lines, agencies. Agencies only just some of them have just email. You can just write an email on position you want to look for. Job fairs are there. Okay, this year is not going to be that good for it during the pandemic. There's some articles, but the people who don't want to do articles reading, I'm going to do some more videos. I hope this covers both of the positions there is on river cruises. You might actually want to do it. You never know. Ryan is interesting. Donau is interesting. beautiful cities: Vienna, Budapest, Amsterdam, small cities in Germany. Absolutely brilliant. If you just want to do it for one contract, by all means, I suggest you get some experience, or you're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna go out a lot and everything. The site for crew is there. The YouTube channel's site for crew is there as well. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're gonna tune in for the next one. And as always, thank you for watching.